Hello and welcome to Attitude with Anna Burr. I'm here with Sarah Boon. You may know her from the first episode called Shy Champagne. She's been on here multiple times talking about selling sunset. She is my girlfriend that loves to just like spill the tea, chat about anything and everything. So say hello to the listener, Sarah.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me back. It is an honor and a privilege.
Honor and privilege. Usually she comes over to record, but we're trying to adhere to CDC guidelines and be separated until this shit is over, which who knows when that's going to be.
Right.
But as long as you guys keep fucking going out without masks on and acting crazy, we're going to be stuck in our homes until 2024. So, yeah. So we're drinking tonight, and I want to make a special shout out to one of my tried and true listeners. He goes by I don't know their pronouns. They go by Tequila Mockingbird on YouTube, and they requested us to drink. So cheers to you, Tequila Mockingbird. Cheers. So bottoms up. So yeah, we're going to be drinking. We might sound coherent at the beginning and not so coherent at the end. So mind your business. So we're going to talk about the election, and we're having a State of the Union, because who better to get the State of the Union from than two former teacher, or I'm a teacher currently, two teachers, two women, and drunk bitches. So let's talk about it.
It's educated to me.
Yes, we're very educated. We're overqualified actually to talk about this country at this point.
I would say at this point we are overqualified to be president.
Yeah. I have more government experience than our president. Like, I was actually the president of my freshman class. Shout out class of 2007. So I obviously could be president.
See, I also did student government, so I feel like we have together more experience than President Trump ever had.
Yeah, maybe you should be my running mate when I want to run for city council, truly, honestly. City girls for city council.
You know what? I'm glad you said that, because I was just watching the news right before we logged on, and Phoenix City Council struck down the initiative to have an independent review council made for our police department to hold them accountable if there's any issues. Yeah, they voted it down. So now we don't get to have a council.
That extra check and balance of our corrupt ass police force.
So
cool.
That's how you know that they know that they're fucking up already.
Yeah.
They really voted down having extra accountability for their police.
Yeah, that's fucked up. Yeah, I'm going to definitely run. Obviously, I'm going to run in this wig that I'm wearing. I'm sure that'll get a lot of votes. Shows that I am very versatile. So, yeah. So I want to talk about first, how have you felt for this past 4 years as a woman who is not a Republican? How did you feel for these past 4 years?
I felt a lot of stress and anxiety since, November 8th or November 9th, 2016. What I do know about myself as a white woman is that I do experience a lot of privilege. So who the president is and what their party is has never really affected my day-to-day life. But obviously what's important to me in my life and who is important to me in my life impacts how I vote and what I choose to support. And so I thought when Trump got elected, I was really concerned for my students and their safety and their well-being, working with a predominantly Hispanic Latinx population, and also working with a large undocumented population. That scared me the most. But as time went on, I realized how Trump's policies were directly impacting me. And I was fuck this. Now I'm really angry. I've always hated this man. I don't want it to come off that I was fine with him getting elected. I was furious from the second it happened. I completely broke down and sobbed in my ex-boyfriend's arms the second I realized Hillary wasn't going to win. It was the most traumatizing night of my life. But I remember there was one day, it was January of 2017 or 2018. I went to go pick up my birth control from the pharmacy, and usually I would swing through once a month, and it was free. I never was charged for my birth control because in my healthcare coverage, especially once Obama had the Affordable Care Act, my birth control was completely covered by my insurance. And then Trump came in and he like, one of the first things he did was fuck up the Affordable Care Act. So when his like changes to our insurance policies went into effect, it impacted my insurance coverage without my knowledge. Like it changed my policy without me even having like a say in what policy I had. And I went to go pick up my birth control and they said, oh, that'll be $90.
And you said,
I was like, you can keep it. But now here I am like sexually active and I can't afford my own birth control so that I don't get pregnant. And like knock on wood, I hope I don't get pregnant, because if I can't afford my $90 birth control, I definitely can't
then I can't afford a kid, and then I must have an abortion. So
right. And that's what, like, that moment, like, I, like, sat in my car crying, like, called my mom. I didn't know what to do. I called my insurance company, and they were trying to explain it to me. And that was, like, just one of the many times. But, like, the first time it, like, stands out to me where I was like, oh, my gosh, this is the first time in my life where, like, I'm, like, feeling, like, the direct impact of, like, a political decision, like, made by our federal government. And I had never really experienced that before. And that's, like I said, totally a reflection of, like, my privilege of, like, a white woman.
But your rights being infringed upon. Yeah.
And then that's what like freaked me out even more. So like I just have never understood why women support him. Like I'm like, it doesn't matter like what the color of your skin is, like he's messing with like your lives and your right to like make choices about your body and how you choose to like protect yourself. And I've just been like livid the whole entire 4 years, like truly traumatic experience. And the whole week leading up to the election, like especially going into like the 2016 election, I was so confident Hillary was going to win because like all the polls were saying she's going to win, like Donald Trump's a joke candidate, and then he won. So even going into this election where people were saying like no one likes Trump, like he screwed up COVID response and no one's voting for him, and the polls are saying Biden will win by a landslide, I still was really anxious because I thought, well, they said Hillary was going to win last time and she lost by a landslide. So the few weeks leading up, I was just like so stressed. And then even that week after, when we still didn't officially know the answer of who was like the president, I was also losing my mind. So
truly, honestly, like a place of 5150 was, I needed to be in a straitjacket the entire time. And yeah, like you were saying, like I don't understand how women support Trump, because nothing in his policies or his actions will help you. Nothing. But I feel women, and especially white women, think that aligning to a Republican man will somehow benefit them because they could, that could aid in their success somehow, because they are married to these Republican men. They date these Republican men. They cheat on their husbands with these Republican men. So they think that they're, somehow their, horrible shadow of being a racist Republican white man will be cast on them in a good light so that they can benefit from it. So yeah, it truly was very strange, especially women under the age of 50. I had an ex-friend, which I was super close to her, and I found out that she was voting for Trump. And this was in 2016, and I asked her, what makes you want to vote for Trump? Like, I just really would love to understand. And I said, didn't you hear that he said he wanted to grab women by the pussy? And she goes, I like that. He says what he's thinking. Truly a place of Tim Allen. Huh? Like, every time, like, I think of that conversation, I'm like, you want a man to just publicly come out and say he wants to sexually harass you instead of pretending like he doesn't. Like that, it blew my mind. So that was her reasoning. And immediately I blocked her number. I was like, fuck you, bitch. Like, we are not talking. So for the past 4 years, I just realized I was in a bad mood because every day I felt like I was going to get killed, or I was going to get harassed, or I was going to get arrested. I was in a bad mood for the past 4 years. And as soon as I found out that Biden was in the lead and that he had even a chance of winning, this was before Arizona and Pennsylvania were called, I was like, you know what? I feel good. I feel like I want to live tomorrow because I actually have a chance to live because somebody might not want to kill me tomorrow. So it was great. It was a place of happiness, but before the results were called, full disclosure, I take medication for, I have really crazy dreams, like super crazy, like sleep paralysis, all that. So I take blood pressure meds because it's supposed to like inhibit you from having these crazy ass dreams. Well, I basically like, you're only supposed to take one. It's like 1 milligram. And I took 3 because I was so stressed out about the election. I took 3, but made the horrible mistake of also drinking wine. I woke up truly in another dimension the next day. I didn't know if it was 2016, 2020. I didn't know if I was in heaven or hell. Like, I was like, where am I? And I literally like had to lay down and like teach on my bed because I was like so out of it, and I didn't want to call out of work because like, I OD'd on my own medication. And then I was like watching like MSNBC, like as I'm like teaching on the bed. So yeah, that's where I was. Like, I was truly about to OD because of this election. Like,
I don't blame you.
Awful for your mental health.
It was wild. And I felt super blessed and highly favored for the place that I work because they gave us election day off, which I think is like, was pretty
It should be mandatory. It should be a holiday. Like, what the fuck is going on in this country where we have to work during a day of election? Like, that's weird.
Yeah. We got election day off, and then the rest of the week, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they didn't like give us the time off, but they called it quiet time. So like any like meetings that we had on the calendar, like any staff meetings or like other like standing things, they canceled or moved to the next week or moved up to Monday before the election. And then like any like personal meetings we had, they gave us the option. They were like, you can cancel them. And they were like, you can use your PTO if you want. But they were like, we just want it to be like quiet work time for you guys.
Love that.
Yeah, it was really nice. And so I told my boss, I was like, I'm going to be honest. I didn't actually call out, but like I probably didn't work a full 8 hours either. So I like put in like a couple hours of PTO because I was like, I watched a lot of the news. I'm going to be real with you. And
yeah. I mean, I think that's to be expected if you're a concerned, especially in the industry we work in education, you kind of have to be, you know, aware of what's going on. You have to be informed. So they should that's cool that they were like that. I think that's how every place should be. It should be a holiday. But
and so much of like our work in education is directly impacted by like public policy. So it's really important. Like, I mean, we're still here stuck in Arizona with a Republican governor, but like now we're going to have some more like maybe federal support. Like it's just the fresh air on that side too.
Well, Betsy DeVos is getting the fuck out of there ASAP. And I can't wait. I cannot wait to see her. I mean, I can't wait to not see her. I can't wait to see her walking her little kitten heels away from her fucking job that she just imploded everything and she knows nothing about. Like the whole administration was not qualified nor experienced to have any of the jobs that they had. Like,
yeah.
Oh, wait, hold on. Did you hear Ben Carson has COVID?
Yes, which
I know people say prayers up, but prayers fucking down for Ben Carson. Fuck him. Fuck him.
Really, my eyes rolled so far in the back of my head. I was like, Brain, nice to see you. Like, I don't feel any sort of like.
I feel a visceral hatred towards everyone in that administration. I wish nothing but the worst for them.
Right. My ex-boyfriend slid into my DMs after I posted something snarky on Instagram about when Trump had COVID. And so we broke up like January 2019. So almost 2 years ago. And he broke up with me in January, had a new girlfriend by February, and then they got engaged this summer. So I was like, cool, like, I'm glad you found happiness. Like, that's really great for you. And we literally haven't talked since then. I didn't even know he still followed me. I unfollowed him way back when. And I posted something about him, like, not feeling bad. And he was like, really? You don't feel bad that our president of the United States has COVID?
Bitch, no, I don't feel bad. I feel nothing but glee. Like, he literally denied this virus for almost a year, didn't warn anybody, and didn't do anything to stop it or curb it or anything.
Not at all. And like, who I feel bad for is the 240, probably 250,000 Americans and their families
that are dead. Are dead, and people are denying their deaths. Like, that's the most insulting part, is that people deny that this many people have died. And
Right.
I don't know how many nurses, how many doctors, how many scientists have to say this is real. Just because the person had, heart complications does not mean that they didn't die from COVID. COVID just expedited the process. So therefore they did die of COVID. And people saying that
Right.
hospitals were getting money for saying people died from COVID. Are you kidding? It's a public institution. They don't get money that way. They get money from your taxes, you dumb bitch. Like,
right. It's insulting to the people who are dead. Like, how rude of you. It's insulting to their families. It's insulting to our healthcare workers. It's insulting to our, like,
teachers, our everybody. You're insulting people at fucking Kroger because
right.
they're, having to go to work and stock the toilet paper that you guys keep buying up because you think you're going to shit yourselves during
How
lockdown.
many squares does everybody use? Because
I don't know. I'm like, I have had the same 12 pack for the past 4 months. Like, calm down. How much are you using to wipe your ass?
I've bought toilet paper twice since March, and I buy it in the small 6 or 8 packs, but I live alone, so I don't need
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, why is everybody sharding on themselves?
Right. I will say, though, I did have very nervous diarrhea election night. I could not stop going. My stomach was so upset because I was so nervous.
I threw up, Sarah. I threw up. I literally projectile vomited because I had PTSD from the last election.
Yeah. I was so nervous that whole entire day.
Yeah, it was crazy.
One thing I was going to ask you about, because I've had similar but different experiences, is how you deal with Trump supporters that you are friends with.
Block them. I don't give a fuck. This is my thing. So I'm going to say this right now, and I don't care who it offends because I've already posted it on the Anatude Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at Anatude. I posted a screenshot, and I posted this on Instagram too, a screenshot between me and a friend where I asked him who he voted for. I said, did you vote for Biden? And he said no. So that lets me know that you want me to know that you voted against my literal human rights. You voted against my human rights. You voted against everything that I stand for and that would keep me alive. And that lets me know that we cannot be friends. It's not a political issue. It's a human rights issue. And if you support that man and you've seen what he's done for all 4 years and you're like, he's done a great job, I think I want to elect him again. We do not need to be friends because not only are you racist, you're fucking stupid because he has done nothing but plummet this country into the ground. So I rest my case.
I think you did the right thing. I grew up in a very liberal city. I have a very liberal family, all one aunt and uncle, but I'm not friends with them on any social media because they're a little weird. I think they were in a cult once. People don't talk about it a lot, but that's for another podcast. But there's 2 girls on my Instagram specifically. One was a sorority sister in college, but she was a couple years younger than me, so I didn't know her personally. And then another is a girl that I met through mutual friends in Arizona about a year ago. So I don't know her that well, but we followed each other on social media because everyone loves a good follow. Anyway, I never assumed that they were conservative until this election. And I was just so shocked by things I saw on their social media. And this one girl, she posted, she was I can't believe that people would vote for anything other than a strong economy. How could you put anything above the economy? And I literally I laughed. I sent her a message and I was like, are you dumb? Do human rights not matter to you? And she was like, well, we need a strong economy to support humans. And I was like, no, you need humans to have equal rights.
So the economy is literally, we're in a recession right now. People just don't feel it because of the virus. If there wasn't...
I'm getting feedback when you talk. There's it sounds like you're talking on a stage.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
It's can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. Oh, I see. Oh, because I turned up the echo for some reason, not the volume. My bad. Why is there even an echo thing on here is the real question.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Right.
Anyway, back to your associates or yeah.
So I will say I hate follow them just to get through the election, but then I'll unfollow them officially.
And I feel this is the time. I know people have always been I don't like to argue about politics and religion or whatever have you. This is the time because you have to let these people know that what they are doing is morally wrong and that they do not get to walk through life voting based on their own self-interest. Like, that's fine if we were just voting for you don't want tax cuts. Okay, cool. But you literally want to vote for a person who told the Proud Boys to stand back and stand down. So, like, stand by and stand down. So you're literally trying to kill people. So you don't deserve.
You don't care about people's lives more than you care about, like, money in your own pocket.
Yeah, and it's a thing. It's like you're not even getting any more money in your pocket. I would love to know who has gotten richer from Trump being president. Unless you make over $400,000, you are not going to be any better position than you were in 2016.
No, and you know what? Like, it's so funny. Like, I mean, there's like been memes all over the internet about like if you don't have a headboard, you don't have to worry about.
If you don't have a fucking bed frame, why are you in rich folks' business? Like, that's what I would love to know.
So I read an article that had like, it broke down the salaries of White House staffers. Like, so Trump's like chief of staff, like all the people who work for him basically in the White House. I don't know the names of it, but all those like advisors that he has and like chairmans of whatever. None of them make even close to $200,000. They're all making between $100,000 and $175,000. So like, even people who work directly for the president,
it's not in their benefit to vote for him.
Exactly. Like, Trump is the highest paid person in the White House, and he makes $400,000. Like, the president.
The president don't they make like $425,000? I remember this from government class because it was a question.
The only person in the whole entire White House, like in all of politics, who makes enough money to be impacted by Biden's own tax plan. Like, he's literally taxing himself because he's a good person and cares about other people. But like,
it only pays $750 fucking dollars when I just wrote a check to the IRS for $300. Like, how are me and the president almost in the same tax bracket?
Right.
Make it make sense. So I could go on about like how dumb people are, but I just truly feel like this election has really shown me who has one brain cell roaming around in their skull. Because if you can, the first time I let it slide a little bit, like I did come at people for voting for Trump the first time. But now that you have seen what he has done and what he's about, and you decide to continue to align yourself to a white supremacist, bigot, sexist, misogynistic, rapist, sexual assaulter, that lets me know what type of person you are. And you have no morals. And I can't rock with that. I cannot.
Not at all. And I just don't understand people who are like, well, he's accomplished so much. And I'm like, bitch, where?
Give me facts. I literally ask people, I'm like, give me one fact of what he has done for you.
Right.
Crickets.
Yeah, and then these people, like, when someone says, like, oh, like we would say Trump doesn't support the LGBTQ community, and they would be like, yes, he does. He loves gay people. Didn't you see Tiffany Trump say, my dad loves gays? Like, no, I'm sorry. He literally, like, banned trans people from the military. Like, that is
banned people from being able to be treated at hospitals due to their gender. Like, if you don't go by your birth gender and you go by your transgender, like, you will not get seen at the hospital. Like, that is beyond evil. So somebody dying in the street cannot go to the hospital because they are trans.
Right.
Like, you're fucking evil.
Absolutely evil, absolutely insane to me. And then people are like, well, he cares about this community. And I'm like, if he cared, he wouldn't have done this. So you're lying.
You're absolutely lying. And
it blows my mind.
Yeah, and people saying like things about like immigration has actually, people are able to come into this country now. No, they're fucking not. Like,
they're kept in cages. They're separated from their parents. Like, imagine like a kid walking down the street with their parent and someone picking them up and taking them in a car. We call that kidnapping. And we would prosecute the person who kidnapped them if caught. We're literally allowing the government to kidnap children under our own watch, and nothing's happening. Like, no one's doing it.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
So sad.
Yeah, because it's not white children that are, blonde hair, blue-eyed children that are in here. Right. And my thing too is like, people are so hyper-focused on building this wall which was basically just a distraction to all the other bullshit he was doing. But how come we are only building a southern wall when it's Canadians and Europeans that are the highest of undocumented immigrants? Why aren't we building a northern border?
Well, because travel to Europe is like a luxury. Oh, but that's the thing. All these rich people love Mexico when they can go there and stay at a all-inclusive resort and have someone bring them margaritas at the beach every day. And
Or when they go to fucking Macayo's and order a chimichanga, right? They love Mexico.
And we love Mexico, but sorry, no, we don't actually care about your people. We just like your food and your alcohol.
Your culture, yeah. It's the same with everything. White people love the culture, but they don't love the people that the culture is from. So,
culture is like the biggest example of that when it comes to like.
Oh yeah, like I love Beyonce, I love this, and I love that, and then they literally vote you want Beyonce to get killed. So
right. Like, it's like, yeah, okay, so you'd be okay if someone, like, put their knee on Beyonce's neck in the street and, like, she could never sing again. Like, would you really be okay with that?
Yeah.
Like, for Trump, you're saying yes.
Yeah, exactly. And so that brings me to my next point of, where do we go from here as women, and where do we go from here as educators, and where do we go from here as, I don't like the word progressive because I always think that's like a dog whistle for, like, I'm white, but I also don't like things that I'm not okay with. As people who are, yeah, very, like, I don't even know how to what word we could use for ourselves, but people that are ready for actual change and actual people that are not cisgendered white men to be in the forefront. Like, where do we go from here?
I think, like, for me as a white woman, like, the biggest concern that I have coming out of the election is that only 45% of white women actually voted for Biden. 55% of white women who voted for Trump. And to me, that's a concern, because I'm like, how do these women, like, suburban women, white women, I don't know where you fucking live, but you're fucking stupid. Like, I don't know why that is occurring. And, like, so I think that is going to be a huge issue, especially if we ever want to, like, get away from these, like, neck and neck, like, elections. I think that's a really big concern. Like, as a white woman, like, I take, like, a shared responsibility for that, like, lack of progress when it comes to white women.
So I want to stop you there, because this is a conversation I have, because I am half white and I have this conversations with my white relatives, is that I don't want you to take the responsibility of people that you don't align to. What I want you to do is, you are the voice of reason to your white peers, not me. I shouldn't be the one cussing these people out. Instead of just taking responsibility, I feel like it should be the white minority of the people who did vote for Biden to speak out to their white counterparts and say, this is fucked up. Like, I don't want to be the one to have to, because they're not going to listen to me, because I do not serve their best interest. And they're like, of course you voted for Biden, you're black. I want my white relatives, I want my white friends. You are my mouthpiece, and that's how you use your privilege, is by.
Totally. Well, and I do say that I, like, take a shared responsibility, because I feel like I didn't do that enough leading up to it. That wasn't, like, the group of people I was engaging in conversations with. Right. Looking back, I didn't engage in probably enough conversation with, like, anyone in my community who is differently minded than me. Like I said, like, the people I choose to surround myself with and the people I've grown up with are liberal like me. I grew up in Seattle, so, like, I don't have, like, this, like, small, like, country town where I grew up around, like, only conservatives whose, like, minds I need to change. Like, I didn't experience that. But that is why I do say I take a shared responsibility, rather than saying, oh, you white women didn't vote for him, you suck, like, or like didn't vote for Biden. Like, I, like, take responsibility as a white woman for not, like, speaking up more ahead of the election, and like changing the minds of that 55%. Like, where that 55%
that makes sense. And I feel like so take that like guilt and use it towards creating a safe space for people like me, where I don't have to interact, or I don't have to be the one to start the confrontation, and that's now on your shoulders going forward. So that's all we want, is, like, we want to be like, yo, do you feel guilty about this? We'll use that guilt, turn it into anger, and turn it into education to your white counterparts, so we don't have to waste our breath. So it's exhausting.
I would even say too, like, I've been working on not feeling a sense of white guilt. Like, I think that's, like, been a big thing for me this year. But I don't, like, know what else to call it when I, like, do feel that like, oh, like, is there something else I could have done? What more could I have done as a white person?
I guess that's like being introspective and reflecting on your progression as a person that surrounds that, you know, you don't surround yourself with only white people that have privilege. You surround yourself with many different cultures and, you know, sexualities and all that. So that is just you being introspective and being reflective. So I don't think that's necessarily a guilt complex, because white guilt to me is like, well, my parents are racist, but I'm not, I'm sorry, and not doing anything about it. But you're doing something about it by having these conversations.
Yeah, I think it's super important to have the conversations. And I think this year has been especially difficult when it comes to conversations about race in our country. And there's just so many different ways that you can like engage in them. And I think like the biggest thing is like, you have to do your own work. Like you, especially white people, like you have to do your own identity work. Like when someone asks you, what's your identity? Like you don't say like, oh, I'm like, I'm an introvert. Like that's not your identity. Like identity is like, where are you from? Like, what's the color of your skin? Like, how do you choose to identify like gender wise? Like, do you choose to not identify with a gender? Like, you know, like think about like the parts of your identity that like people see and then the parts of your identity that people don't see, and how those things play into everything that happens to you in life. Like when you go into the grocery store, like the perfect example, well, it's not the perfect example, it's like a very annoying example, but one that I can think of is like at Walmart. When I go shopping at the Walmart on 19th Avenue, they check your receipt when you walk out of the store, right? And they just like check to make sure the things in your cart line up with the things that you paid for. So there was one time that I went into Walmart and I had a case of water on the bottom level of my cart. Like I was like buying a bunch of stuff for my classroom, and I forgot to pull up the water cart or the case of water and have them scan it to pay for it, and walked out of the store with it. And the receipt checker waved me on by, when every other person who is mostly from the like Hispanic community that lives in that neighborhood was stopped and had their cart like closely checked. Like that is like an example of me like experiencing like very blatant like white privilege in my life. I don't think that people realize that. Like if you're not doing the work to recognize your identity, how it like that's like a very blatant example of like me benefiting from my identity.
But I think too, like that is just you. That's the first step of like, you know, getting rid of that white guilt, is like being like, oh my God, they fucking didn't even check my cart. That's fucked up.
Right.
It would be different if you're like, well, I'm sorry they didn't check your cart. It's not my fault. But so you're doing something about it just by having these like conversations. Yeah. And I feel that the way that you can, you know, be an ally and not be a performative ally, because I saw a lot of that this summer. I saw people posting black squares and haven't heard anything since, and probably never will. But
those girls I was telling you about who voted for Trump and post all this conservative stuff, black squares about 3 months back in their profiles. And I'm like,
yeah, thanks, but no thanks. Or the people that posted the pictures of their books that they were reading, and I'm sure they never cracked open. But stuff like that. I think you have to look at, you know, things in your surroundings, like your career. You need to look around and be like, hey, am I sitting next to a black woman? Am I sitting next to a Muslim man? Am I sitting next to a, you know, transgender person? And then you look around and say, if that's okay, if you are, then that's great. That means your job's being inclusive. But if it's not, that's your turn to speak up and be like, hey, I noticed that there's no black people working here. What can we do to change that?
Right.
Things like that. That's how you use your privilege to, you know, actually be an ally and actually make changes that are long lasting and not just, you know, virtue signaling. So that's what I would have to say. Just look around your workplace and say, who am I working next to? Who's in power? And what could I do to change it to make it more inclusive?
Yeah, I fully agree. I think like equity in the workplace is a great place to start when it comes to like creating that like balance of like equity of voice. But I also think like equity in leadership. Like, you know, like when you look around, like maybe like you have a staff of 10 and 4 of them are people of color. Like in the United States, like that's a pretty good balance. That's probably above the average, having 40% people of color on your staff. But if every single person who sits on your board of directors is an old white man, or
then you're working backwards.
Yeah, like it's not doing, like, it's a step, but it's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
I fully believe, like, the people involved in the decision making, like if we're making decisions about like how we have equity, or like how we're going to change our like DEI policies, like people of color need to be involved in those conversations.
Yeah,
because people of color are the ones who are being directly impacted by the lack of.
But it's I have this conversation with one of my professors, is that people don't want to feel uncomfortable, and that's why they don't ask people to be on these committees. They don't ask people to be on this board, because then that would make them have to sit with their privilege and their access to privilege. So that's a whole nother topic. But so I guess where we go from here is just like, keep doing the work and don't be performative about it, and actually have these like serious conversations with your friends, with your family. I know Thanksgiving is coming up. If you have a racist ass Meemaw, I want you to call out your fucking Meemaw and say, bitch, like if you don't stop, you're going to go to that home, and not the good one, the one that I saw in 60 Minutes that gives you bed sores. Like that's what you need to be doing this holiday season. Yeah. And also, if you're going to see your Meemaw, and please get your flu shot. Please get tested for COVID. Yeah. So, and that's what brings me to another, is like these COVID deniers that are still fucking denying this shit. And then people, I have heard from multiple people, they're worried about the vaccine having a microchip in it. I want you to ask yourself if you believe that. Are you interesting enough to be microchipped? Just ask yourself that question.
Well, so here's my other question for people who are so nervous about it. Probably all of these rich.
Do you have a phone? Do you have a fucking iPhone?
Do you have a phone? Well, and these are the people wwho are hella pressed about getting their Cavalier King Charles Spaniels microchipped so they don't lose them. It's like, oh, but you don't want to be microchipped?
Makes no sense. Make it make sense.
If I had family like that, I'd let them walk away. I said, go.
Yeah, please. Like, go right ahead. Yeah. At this point, I'm the only thing that makes me upset is because like I have made my peace with people who are anti-vaxxers. I'm never going to get through to them. Not my kids, not my problem. If you want your kids to get the measles, like you do that.
Yeah. Go to Disneyland and get polio. Like what?
If your kid's walking around here like the 1900s and missing a leg like Tiny Tim from A Christmas Carol, like that's Godspeed. But this is affecting other people. It's not just affecting you. So like, just wear a fucking mask. Even if there's even if it's not protecting you, even if there's a 0.0001% it's going to protect somebody else, why not?
Right.
What is the problem?
I don't so something interesting again that I've seen from these conservative folk that I hate follow on the social medias is like this, like they're really upset about all the closure. Like bigger cities are closing down again, businesses are closing, and they're super upset about it. And they're like, it should be your personal responsibility. Like if you know that you're going somewhere where you're going to be around a high risk population, take personal responsibility and wear your mask. And I'm like, yeah, you should. But for every 5 people I see saying we shouldn't need laws telling us where we can and can't go, or that we have to wear a mask, like we should just do it because you're a good person. There's the other half that says like today the governor had a press conference in Arizona and he was like, we're not going to have a statewide mask mandate, but I still encourage people to wear masks. So I'm like in the comments on our like local news stations, like coverage of it. And there's all these people saying, good, I don't want to wear a mask. My body, my choice. If I don't have to wear a mask.
Oh, but it's funny. It's your body, your choice when it comes to that. But when it comes to a woman wanting to get an abortion or somebody wanting to transition, then it's not their choice.
Then it's
like,
not their choice.
Make it make sense, people. Like,
it makes no sense, and it never will. But it's like, okay, so half of the conservative party is saying, don't give us laws. We'll do it because we care about other people. We want to protect our family and our friends. But if you make a law saying that we should do it, then I'm mad at you. I'm mad at the government to tell me what to do. But then there's the other half that's like, I'm glad the government's not telling me what to do because now I still don't have to follow the law. So it's like, okay, so are all of you conservatives who are saying that we'll do it out of our like goodness of our heart going to talk to the other half that are saying that they don't believe in masks and they are COVID deniers? And are you going to try to convince them, or are you going to let them go about their merry way? Because like you can't have both. Like,
yeah. But that just comes down to it's the trickle down effect of who our leader is currently for another 65 days, is that he has never once denounced anything regarding people not following CDC guidelines. He's never once said, don't go to that huge party, don't go into the store not wearing a mask, make sure that you sanitize and wash your hands. Like, he's never said any of that. So of course, at the local level, they're following suit because it's in their best interest to, just appease his fan base, because it's not an intelligent fan base, to not do these things. So it's just crazy to me, and it's just we could have had this under control months ago, but here we are. Back to literally behind square one, because we're worse than we were in March.
Right. And you know why it was the way it was in March? Because businesses were closed and people were wearing masks and staying home. And that was bad. And then we started acting like it didn't exist. And look at us now. Yeah.
And people keep saying they're tired of it. And I get it. I would love to go. WAP came out, and ever since then I've wanted to go shake my ass at the club, and I can't. Right. But you can't get tired of something that's not going away.
Right.
You have to fix it.
You have to. And I follow, there's this lifestyle blogger that I really love, and she lives in Australia, and she's out and about going to the gyms, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, she's not following any COVID rules. And I'm like, wait, there isn't COVID in Australia.
Yeah. New Zealand and Australia got this shit under control months ago.
They maybe have as many cases as my apartment building in a month. It just blows my mind. And then I get jealous. I'm like, dang it. She can go to, not that I would go to the gym. That's not the first place I would go if COVID restrictions were lifted. I'm going to be honest. But to each their own, go to the gym if that's what you like.
Yeah. It would be my last choice. My first choice would be the fucking club.
The clubs. Right. And I love my parents to death. They are the most precious people to ever exist to me on the whole entire planet. They're so effing cute, and they're just so in love, and I love them so much because they're just so in love, and I could go on and on. And I haven't seen them in a year. And some people I know go a long time without seeing their parents, but I'm very close to my parents, and so it just it's broken my heart every single day of this year. And here I am. I finally decided to book a ticket to go home for Thanksgiving and stay through the holidays. So I'm gonna fly once and stay for a long period of time. So I'll be quarantining before, and I'm quarantining once I get there. But I had a nightmare last night so I scheduled a COVID test. I talked to you about this before, but I had a nightmare that I tested positive, and I literally woke up in the middle of the night crying that I wouldn't be
able to see your parents,
and I wouldn't be able to see my family. And my dad has a very serious lung disease. So he already has a cough and can barely walk around the house without losing his breath. If he gets COVID, he's dead on arrival. It's the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
And so it's my biggest fear to bring COVID home and get my own dad sick and be the reason that he could suffer and potentially die. I'm so scared. And so for all of these people to be acting
because it doesn't affect them, because they don't have a dad or a mom that they care about, right, or anybody with underlying health conditions or compromised immune systems. So it's
the same people who support Back the Blue and Blue Lives Matter, because they don't know any Black people who have had their lives impacted by the
Exactly. So it all correlates, and it all correlates to, I believe, intelligence level, because I have yet to meet somebody who is smart deny science. So it does correlate to intelligence.
Also, it cracks me up on the news when they're Trump's biggest base is non-college
educated white
voters, and I'm so dumb white people vote for Trump. Do we
absolutely
anything else?
Yeah, they don't know they don't know how to read, so they're I don't know, I just voted for that white guy.
He's gonna protect my land rights. No, yeah, he's gonna buy your land from you and build the next Trump Taj Mahal in the middle of your farm in Nebraska, Karen.
And then it's gonna, yeah, exactly, fucking Jebediah. Oh my God,
so annoying.
It's so annoying, and I feel for the next generation that's gonna have to deal with this shit that's going on. But also, can we talk about, so I a lot of people are Biden this, Biden that. Biden wasn't our first choice. We definitely settled for Biden, and I will fully admit that I am a Bernie head. I am a burner, but I knew I would rather have an upturned mop in a bucket with a hat on than have fucking Trump. Like, that's truly was my thinking. I didn't care who it was. I just wanted him out of there. And I don't know how people don't understand that. And like, I don't align to any white man's policies, especially a man over a certain age, and especially somebody who identifies as a centrist. And Bernie is the only exception of an old white man that deserves rights, because he cares about other people besides himself.
Bernie and that Senator, what's his name? Markley. He's the one, I don't know his first name, but Senator, I think it's Markley. He works really close with AOC, and he is like the other, like, next most left, falling off the edge of the cliff in a good way type of a politician. But I will say, when I saw Biden announce his candidacy last year, I thought to myself, I remember thinking like, okay, we have a chance of winning.
I said when Trump was running, I wish Biden would have ran, because I knew he would have a chance, because people literally, their brains were combusting thinking about a woman being president, because I don't know why. It truly boggles my mind. But yeah, Biden was not my first choice. He wasn't my second choice, but he was my only choice to get Trump the fuck out of here. So
I think he was the only option we had. Like, I also really love Cory Booker.
I do not, because he's into school choice and charter schools.
Oh, I didn't know that. I wonder if that's successful in New Jersey then. I'm curious to learn more about it.
I don't think any charter school has ever been successful in the history of charter schools. They all closed down within 5 years.
Yeah. The only charters that are like, quote unquote, successful are those like large charter networks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I have a very big problem with them as well, because I think that they promote systemic racism and have white supremacist policies in the
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they aren't, they're not valid, because they do their own testing, and it usually doesn't make any kind of sense. So I have my issues with Cory Booker, but I mean, if he would have been the candidate, I would have voted for him.
I would vote for any Democratic candidate, anyone but Trump.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like, this wasn't about party affiliation. It was about getting that fucking psychopath out of my face. So
I think that whole, I know I've seen you post things on Instagram being like critical of this group, which I agree with. I'm not like,
I know who you're talking about, the Lincoln Project. Let's get into it.
So I found out about the Lincoln Project through social media, and all I knew about it was that it was like a group of Republicans who are anti-Trump. They're like, Trump doesn't represent our party, and I fully believe that that's true. I think if you thought about Reagan Republicans, they're rolling in their grave thinking about what Trump is doing to their party. He's like,
I don't know. Reagan's pretty on brand for Trump, because he was very into disenfranchising Black people and creating the war on drugs, which directly affected brown and Black people. So
is the reason many people are in jail for the rest of
and also small businesses didn't do so well under Reagan. Can suck my dick. So quote me on that.
What is so funny is that I when people talk about who their parents voted for, and I talk to a lot of people my age, especially where I grew up or the people I went to college with, which is mostly people from Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, and LA, so very West Coast, large liberal cities. They're like, well, I'm sure your parents voted for Bush at least in 2004, or 2000. And I was like, actually, no. My parents hate him so much. We had all of the signs to impeach him in our front yard, and they'd get stolen, and my mom put out a new one the next day. She fucking hated him from day one. And people are like, well, your parents are probably Reagan Republicans. And I'm like, hell no, my parents are not Reagan Republicans. And my mom, she's like, I've never voted for a Republican president my entire life. And I asked my dad, I'm like, so my dad was born in 1944. So he's been through quite a few elections. I was like, Dad, did you ever vote for a Republican? And he said, I voted for Nixon.
He was like, I learned my lesson then.
And that was the first time when he lost to
JFK. Yeah. I feel like Republicans have never been, for human rights. They've been definitely for financial freedom of it's only for the wealthy. So
I want to protect the white suburban.
Yeah. So it to say that like, you know, like Republicans are rolling in their graves, they're only rolling in their graves because he didn't align to anything that would benefit them. So like the Lincoln Project is, people have to realize like they're still Republicans. They have voted against many changes, systematic changes about racism, about police reform. They're still Republican at heart. And don't take that they're, you know, putting out these jazzy jingles and ads as like, oh, they're for us. No, they just took your money and now they're going to use it to put in place and put lobbyists in place to vote against your best interest. So good job for doing that. Like you, but that's why where people have to actually research what they're supporting and realize like just because they're against Trump does not mean they're for you. So yeah.
I think I 100% see where you're coming from. And I think the things that bother me is one, all of these people voted for Trump in 2016. So I'm mad at you already because you're in this fucking ship that's sinking off the like coast of Panama.
Yeah.
Then two, like you probably just didn't vote for Trump. I'm sure you voted Republican down the rest of your ticket. And when you look at who won like local races, state races, like Democrats didn't have this like sweeping win across the country.
No, 70 million people still voted for fucking Trump. So
right. And I think too, I want, like, I'm not the best at math. Like as a teacher, I admit that, but like clearly like this year had the highest voter turnout of any election in our country's modern history, which I think is amazing. And so like when we see, and I think Trump like uses it to boost his own ego when he's like, oh, 70 million or however many people voted for me. But it's like if we like did some like ratios of like if you compared it to the last election of like how many more votes like Biden won by, like I still think Trump like shit the can on this one, but like thank God. But I think like it's concerning how many people clearly didn't vote for Trump but still voted for Republican senators. They still voted for
and that's where people don't realize like how much their vote matters when it comes to the local and House and Senate elections. Like you have to, that, a 40-year term as like a senator is very more detrimental than a 4 to 8 year presidency.
Right.
So
like I give up a group like the Lincoln Project some credit in helping to educate voters on how Trump is not a good representative of the Republican Party. Like,
but it's sad that we even needed a program like that to tell you like, oh, he's a bad person. Like he's never shown anything good. So it's like, if you're that dumb where you had to listen to the Lincoln Project, then I don't know what to tell you. Like,
well, and the other thing that is to me is that like, and I've been saying this for the past 4 years, that Trump is not a representation of what the Republican Party is. 4 years later, I think Trump is what the Republican Party is. If you
that's what I've been trying to tell people. It's like, this is okay. So the thing too is like people don't understand is that where the Republican Party came from and what they're all about. And this is exactly what they align to. They just do it a different way than Trump has done it. So they align to tax breaks for corporations, not protecting national parks and the environment. So, but they've done it in different ways by supporting like the coal industry, supporting like, foreign oil. Trump just did it in different ways. So this is who the Republican Party is. This is who they've always been. But this is why we need more than a two-party system also, because this is some, he's aligned with some Democrats in the past. Cough, cough, Bill Clinton, 3 strikes. But we need to, this is where the changes come in from the House and Senate level in our local elections. We need to abolish the two-party system and abolish the Electoral College, period. Period.
I think, like, what scares me the most is all of these Republican senators and other lawmakers who are not, like, now that he's lost, they're not saying, oh, Trump, like, you lost, you need to concede. They're continuing to push these conspiracy theories that the election was rigged. And to me, like,
wait, hold on. Did you see that Fox News interview with a poll worker, and it was like some girl that looked like her name was Deborah. She had like a box blonde hair, and she was like, I saw a truck back up, but I didn't see what was in it, but I think it had ballots in it. And it's like, huh? And then
the truck pulled up, and then the ballots, they were flying out. They had legs, and they flew out. Like,
and then the one of the shadowy figure that was obviously Trump in his bathroom.
That was my favorite one.
Yeah, and it was like, there is so much voter fraud, I can't even explain. And like, that's Trump. Get the fuck, turn the light on. We know it's you.
You know who it was? It was probably Kellyanne Conway.
Oh my God. Oh, and that's another thing too. Can we talk about people's like obsession with her daughter? Which I'm like, okay. She's still Kellyanne Conway's daughter, and you cannot. She's doing this for her own her own gain. Like, she's not doing this because she's 15 years old. Like, Jesus Christ. Like,
decision-making skills at 15 are not the strongest nor healthiest. I fully believe, because I think it's very common, like, in that like Gen Z / young millennial crowd to like have parents who are conservative, but not agree with them. So I don't like, I think that she is trying to like show like, oh my God, my family's crazy. But it's like, yeah, we know your family's crazy. We've known they were crazy since.
Yeah. And also like, but you're now making money off of this and you're getting like brand deals. So I don't believe you.
Well, and she also just auditioned for American Idol and was posting all over social media.
Thank you. So, like, I need everybody to stop giving these people a platform. Like, I don't give a fuck about Kellyanne Conway's underage daughter. She can't vote. She has no say. I guarantee she's fucking smoking Newports in the bathroom. Like, I don't believe her. So, like, stop giving these people clout. Like, I don't know how else to say this, but, like, just because they disagree with Trump doesn't make them a good person. They have to do that with other actions besides like these performative things. So
yeah, and I mean that's hard too when you're not at legal age to vote. I believe
I would have more respect for her if she was out there fucking protesting for Black Lives Matter on her own account without videotaping it.
Yeah. It's been crazy to watch. Like, I don't not believe her, like, that she disagrees and, like, doesn't like Trump. Like, but I do think that, like, one, she definitely, like, exploited the attention that she was getting. And two, I think it was not responsible or mature of her to, like, go around, like, posting, like, private conversations of her mom or, like, things that she was hearing at home that have to do with, like, politics. Because, like,
now and now I feel like it's like illegitimate of like everything that's going on because now it just feels like a total reality show. But wait, hold up. Can she actually sing?
Oh, I don't know. She didn't say.
So how is she?
She like just posted like something on her Instagram story. I saw it like reposted on Facebook or something of her like filming herself in like the little like American Idol like confessional thing. Like, I just met Ryan Seacrest. I'm so excited. I'm here at the American Audition.
Wait, Ryan Seacrest is still doing American Idol. He's like 97 years old.
You know what's crazy to me is that he's hella old, but like his girlfriends are consistently 24. And I'm like doing the math. Like I started watching American Idol when I was 9 years old and I'm 29. So that means a 24-year-old was 4 or 5 years old. And now they're dating him. And he was a full-blown adult when I was watching him on TV. So like now he's like extra adult and they're like barely adult. Like, and that's gross to me.
Yeah, that's weird. Oh my God, American Idol.
I mean, that's TV. He's the next Regis Philbin. He will be hosting Rock on New Year's Eve. He will be hosting American Idol. He'll be hosting Regis and Kelly until his legs fall out from under him.
Yeah, I believe it. You're right. He is the next Regis and Johnny Clarkson and whoever else did it before. But so 2020 is almost over. Do you have any goals for 2021?
Stay alive, good job. Maybe get a boyfriend, but that's low.
Yeah. I didn't have any goals for 2020, but I knew when the ball dropped that night that things were going downhill because of who I was surrounded by. And it was like people that I'm like, who are you? Like, It was just like very like weird. Yeah. It was a weird vibe. It was a weird vibe. So this year, what are your plans for the New Year's? Like, because you're going to stay in Seattle when you're during holidays.
I'll be home with my family through the end of December, but I'll be back in time for New Year's. And so I've been talking with a group of friends here in Arizona about like getting like a cabin up north or something. And it's like the group of it's all my like people who live in my apartment. We're kind of like a quarantine crew. It's the only people I really hang out with. This whole
Sarah basically lives in a building that's like friends. Like they all hang out and like.
Yeah, it's weird. And then hates each other and then breaks up with each other and then is mad at each other. But
wait, who are you in the group of friends? Are you Rachel, Ross, Phoebe, Joey, Chandler?
I mean, Rachel has been my favorite since 1994, so I hope that I'm a Rachel, but like minus the toxic qualities. But maybe I have the toxic qualities and I'm just unaware. I would need someone to call me out or call me in on that. But I've just always loved Rachel. So I would hope that I'm her. Plus, she has really great hair. Love her hair. But yeah, it's a weird dynamic, but it's been great. I think like if I hadn't met everyone in my building and I was living alone and like wasn't able to see my friends, I would probably go crazy, like potentially move out of my apartment and like move back home because I wouldn't know what to do with myself. Especially since so many of our friends moved away this year.
I know. I feel like
icing on the cake.
Everybody left, and you know, I don't know what I'm doing for New Year's, but it's not what I did last New Year's. So TBD on that. And I doubt anything will be open to like go out and like have fun, but I'm definitely not spending it how I spent it last year because it's super fucking sus.
Right.
But so
I also did not enjoy New Year's last year, so
that was it was a precursor to the end of days, I believe. Totally. So before we go, I've never asked you this. What is your favorite Britney Spears song? Because I asked all my guests this, but I don't ask the regulars because I'm like, oh, I'll see her again. I'll ask her next time. But now that I have you, what is your favorite Britney Spears song?
Is such a good question. I'm thinking of one from like every album. First song that comes to mind is Lucky. Like I remember acting out Lucky like in my bedroom in front of the mirror, like props, costumes, everything, and I would just dance around. Only child syndrome. Like I was just truly put myself in her shoes. I love that song. I also love Toxic. Like if I hear Toxic, I am on my feet and I'm ready to dance. I love it so much. And then like I love that song Soda Pop, I think is what it was called.
Yes.
Album. I just remember like,
Soda Pop. Yeah.
I can't stop. I just like that one always puts me in a good mood too.
That's a great one. But what's your favorite out of all those? Like all-time favorite, you are on an island, you can only listen to one Britney Spears song for the rest of your time on the island.
I think I would have to go with Toxic. I could just like hear it over and over again and not.
A banger.
Yeah.
Absolute banger. Yeah, that fucking violin that's going on.
It hits different,
Chef's
man.
kiss. Chef's kiss.
Yeah. What's your answer?
Oh, nobody's ever asked. Oh.
It matters.
I would have to say, Give Me More.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It's Britney, bitch. Truly iconic. Queen icon legend. Love her.
She's great.
Love her. So what do you have to say to the listeners who probably stopped listening a half hour ago because this has gone on for almost 2 hours, but what do you have to say to the listeners that didn't vote or didn't vote Biden?
Okay, if you didn't vote, you are a trash human and I hate you, but I could learn to love you if you vote next time, and you don't have to wait 4 years to vote. We have elections every single year. We have local elections. In 2 years, we have midterm elections, and you can register to vote year-round. You don't have to wait until they start advertising the deadline on your favorite podcast or your favorite YouTube channel. You can register literally tomorrow. If you move to a new state and you get a new driver's license, they ask you if you want to register to vote. You say yes. You also say yes to organ donation because you're a good person. And so I believe that you should do that. If you didn't vote, you're trash in my eyes until you do vote, because not voting is a sign of privilege, and that shows that you don't care who wins because it's not going to directly impact your life. And you need to know, even white women, like I shared before, it will directly impact your life when you show up to the drive-thru at Walgreens and they say your birth control is $90. Don't let that be you. Vote. If you didn't vote for Biden, if you voted for Trump, or if you like wrote in or you voted for Kanye West, fuck you.
What the hell?
I hate you so much. I don't know why you don't care about people of color. I don't know why you don't care about the rights of Black people. I don't know why you don't care about women having the choice to do what they want with their bodies. I don't know why you don't care about our homeless population. And I think you're trash. I don't know why you don't care about our LGBT plus population. You are trash. I don't even want to give you the benefit of the doubt. I hope you unregister to vote and then re-register as a Democrat.
Love that.
And your decision-making process. If you would like to explain it to me, I have one ear that might listen, but it's a very critical ear. And it'll probably be judging you. It's going to go, it won't come out the other, but it's going to process, it's going to turn it around, it's going to come back at you and yell at you.
Get it out, yeah.
You're a trash human. Like I want so badly. Okay, I will say if you voted for Biden, if you're one of those 55% of, or sorry, for Trump, and if you're one of the 55% of women who voted for Trump, let's talk, let's have a conversation so you can understand how your decision is negatively impacting other women. And if you're all for women supporting women, like you all say you are on Instagram and Twitter, you're not if you voted for Trump. So let's have a conversation. You can follow me at Sarah B. Boon on all platforms.
Perfect. I'm gonna have to add like a fucking church organ to that. That's beautiful. But yeah, if you did any of those things that I don't agree with, catch me outside. But also follow me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at Attitude Pod. Find me on Patreon because that's where I drop my bonus episodes at Patreon/Attitude Pod. And yeah, so that was the episode. So thank you, Sarah, for being being a guest again. And if it's day night, highlight of her life. That's because of Corona. There's something else going on. But if it's day night, wherever you are, have a good one. Bye.